You know, you got to pick certain things that motivate you. The number one motivating thing for me, and I'm just being honest, was I was sick and tired of being poor. I was just exhausted. My mother was poor, my father was poor, my brothers and sisters were poor, all my friends were poor, all my relatives were poor. I lived in a poor neighborhood, we lived in a poor house. I was just like, wow, man. I watched TV, and I would see, you know, like at Christmas time, my father would put us in the car and take us out to the suburbs to see the Christmas lights. And I would see these big houses, man, with lights all on them, and they had horseshoe driveways where you just pull in and go all the way around. That was amazing to me. You know, we would pull up in the driveway, got a back out. You know, I've been doing that, and I kept saying, I told my father, I said, Dad, I said, why don't we get one of these houses? He said, boy, I ain't got no money for this kind of house. He said, but if you work hard, keep going to church like your mama say, you can make some money, you can buy you one of these houses. That was it. My motivation was to buy a big house so I could put up Christmas lights and drive in the driveway. And I'm gonna tell you something. Every home I have, every house I've ever owned or built, you got to pull in one way and drive all the way around to come out there. I have never built, lived, or owned a home that did not have that driveway with gates on both sides. Never. That was the biggest motivating. So my advice is you have to find a dream that's so big that it overwhelms all of your fears and causes you to never give up. Now, you're going to think about quitting no matter what you do. I mean, I've thought about it many times, but I always just kept thinking about that house. And I've always dreamed of buying my mother and father a real house. And, you know, and before they died, I was able to do all of that. Bought them houses and everything. So you just got to find the right motivation. There's some other pieces to that. I'll tell you that on the next break. If in school, they would implement a dream building course where you sat down for 30 minutes with students and only discussed their dreams, I'm telling you, man, it would save you an abundance of trouble. And if you're a teacher, I would get a clearance to do that once a month. Here's what happens. Once a child informs you of their dreams, you have the key to unlock his ability to learn. Because if a guy says, I want to fly an airplane, well, then guess what? You got to get good at science. You got to get good at math. And now school becomes incredibly important to fulfill the dream. See, but if you never ask a child what he dreams and you're always telling him, you got to go to school, do your work, do your work. Nah, man, you got to find out what makes him tick. So finding out what a person dreams about, I don't know if you really noticed this or not. Education's never mentioned in the Bible. It ain't in there. It only talks about your dreams or visions. That's all it talks about. So now, but if you dream of being a dentist, then guess what? You got to get good at reading. You got to get good at science. So now you can get them to do better in school because you got a reason to be good in school. But if you never give a child a reason to be good in school, that's the problem we have in the school system. That's my advice. If I were a teacher, if they'd have asked me what I dreamed about, they could have saved a lot of pain with me. Because I don't give a about history. I don't. I'm not really good at math. I'm good at addition, subtraction, and multiplication. I know how many days I come to work. I know how much I make each day, and I multiply that, and I know how much you owe me. That's all the I need to know. Man, we took physics. I didn't get it, man. But the whole time, my whole ambition was to be on TV and to tell jokes. So why you feeding me this physics? It could have saved me some trouble. And it's a better way to teach kids. That's my personal opinion. You'll stay out that hospital for $250, won't you? A couple of y'all said, well, I'll go in there for a little while. There ain't nothing God ain't gonna get me through. If I ain't getting through it, he currently pulling me through it. One of the two, but I'm gonna get over. All I got to do is wait on the sun to come up. God in the blessed business, man. See, you got to understand something. Behind every moment of adversity you have in your life, behind every moment of adversity, you got two things come with that. You get a lesson and you get a blessing. You got to wake up to see both of them. But if you lay in your misery, oh, woe is me, why this happening to me? It's happening to everybody. It ain't just you. You ain't the only one having a rough day. You ain't the only one partner left them. You ain't the only one been left with the baby. You ain't the only one been left holding the bag. You ain't the only one been foreclosed on. You ain't the only company they closed during COVID. You ain't the only one whose friend stabbed you in the back. You ain't the only one. It happening to everybody. Man, skip them. Sometimes the backstabbing is good. They can't stab you but one time. Once you stab me in the back, cool, appreciate the lesson. Now the blessing is I ain't got to mess with you no more. You can just buy. It's like loaning money. People say, man, how you feel about loaning money? I used to loan money. I stopped that. If I'm going to give you the money, I'm going to give you the money. Don't borrow the money from me because I don't want to be looking for your ass. You know, waiting on you to call. I got a partner right now, owe me $250,000, $250,000. I see him all the time. Steve, what's up? Hey, man, what's happening? Sent me a picture of a watch and said, hey, man, somebody told me you had this watch because I collect watches. He said, I'm finna buy the watch. You think I ought to buy it? The watch was $850,000. I said, man, you got the money, go on get it. Thanks, man, just checking on you. Owe me $250,000. The old Steve Harvey, that about 30 years old, will be on TMZ tonight. But you know what happened? Because I know how it worked. I left him alone. I'd have made that back so many times, man, I don't even be studying him. And you know, that's on him. But what I done got in return, I done got all kinds of blessings. He been in the hospital, I'm healthy. You'll stay out that hospital for $250, won't you? A couple of y'all said, well, I'll go in there for a little while, Steve. Hey, Steve, you stay out for $250. I check in that this evening. You can keep me in that rest of the year. My bad. My bad, I forgot. Sometimes you got to read the room. I said, you stay out of the hospital for $250, bruh say. So what you saying, Steve? Like you give me $250 if I go on in this hospital?